4 mental traps that are killing your productivity. 1. The planning fallacy. According to the American Psychology Association, the planning fallacy is the tendency to underestimate the amount of time needed to complete a future task, due in part to the reliance on overly optimistic performance scenarios. Underestimating the time you need for certain tasks means that you're constantly unable to stick to a timeline. If you're a freelancer whose clients have strict deadlines or part of a team that depends on you to complete a project as expected, meeting deadlines is crucial to your professional success. Misjudging how much time you need to tackle tasks also means you'll try to accomplish more than is possible in one day, which will cause an imbalance in your life. If you take on too much at your job, you might have to reallocate hours reserved for other domains of life, such as yourself and your relationships, in order to finish those tasks. Those high expectations, plus the low control you have in meeting them, are a guaranteed formula for burnout. After sacrificing hours previously meant for fun, self-care, or sleep, you're likely to enter a state of emotional, mental, and often physical exhaustion brought on by prolonged or repeated stress. So what's the solution? Don't use a to-do list without time boxing. On their own, to-do lists are a trap. With no constraints, they don't show forced prioritization trade-offs, nor help you stick to a realistic schedule. Time boxing, on the other hand, is a time management technique by which you reserve a specific period of time in your calendar for each activity. It's a great way to beat the planning fallacy because it enables you to visualize your time. You can use time tracker applications to monitor how much time you usually need to complete a work project, a recipe, a workout session, and more. Once you have a good idea of how long something might take you, plot it in your time-boxed calendar. This should give you a good idea of what you can realistically do in one day. Be liberal with assigning time to your tasks. Don't limit yourself to the minutes you need for the best-case scenario of productivity. Instead, time box for your worst-case scenario. If you finish early, then you have breathing room to take a break. 2. Liminal movements. Liminal moments are transitions from one thing to another throughout our days. Have you ever opened a tab in your web browser, got annoyed by how long it's taking to load, and opened up another page while you waited? Or looked at a social media app while walking from one meeting to the next, only to keep scrolling when you got back to your desk? By doing these actions for just a second, or 5 minutes tops, we're likely to do things we later regret, like getting off track for half an hour. Next time you feel the urge to check your phone in a moment of boredom or distraction, tell yourself to wait just 10 minutes. It's likely that once the 10 minutes are over, your urge will be over. The 10-minute rule, also known as surfing the urge, is when you take a breath to notice your sensations and ride them like a wave, which helps you cope until the feelings subside. Surfing the urge is effective at helping me deal with all sorts of potential distractions, like Googling something rather than writing, eating something unhealthy when I'm bored, or watching another episode on Netflix when I'm too tired to go to bed. 3. The mere urgency effect. The mere urgency effect is the tendency to pursue urgency over importance, as defined by this recent study. It says, people may choose to perform urgent tasks with short completion windows instead of important tasks with larger outcomes. In other words, we tend to prioritize the completion of the 5-minute menial task rather than the important project that will take us hours of work. Email is a perfect example. It's the curse of the modern worker. The average office-dwelling worker receives 100 messages per day. Even if you can tap out a reply in just 2 minutes for each one, that adds up to more than 3 hours daily. It will consume all the time you need for more important tasks if you let it. Time boxing can protect us from the siren call of menial tasks. In your calendar, reserve a period for focused work and let your family, co-workers, boss, and anyone who might try to approach you in that time know that you'll be unavailable. This will eliminate the guilt or anxiety you feel over not responding to emails every 30 seconds, because your boss and co-workers will know you're not slacking. You're simply in the zone and in a state of focused flow. Planning focused work time will also let you know that any other task you do in that time is a distraction. You might be tempted to recheck your inbox, or if you're working from home, quickly throw some laundry in the wash. But that's off limits during your focused work time. 4. Shame for not getting everything done. Humans aren't machines, so we're going to have moments of low productivity even if we're proactive about managing our time and attention. Making yourself feel shame about your lack of productivity isn't going to do you any good. Maybe you've made yourself feel shame for sleeping in instead of getting up for your early morning workout. Or maybe distraction was able to steal your attention more than usual today. Don't give in to self-blame. That toxic guilt will only make you feel even worse and can, ironically, lead you to seek even more distraction in order to escape the pain of shame. Everyone struggles with distractions from time to time. The important thing is to take responsibility for our actions without toxic shame. Self-compassion makes people more resilient to letdowns by breaking the vicious cycle of stress that often accompanies failure. If you find yourself listening to the little voice in your head that sometimes bullies you around, it's important to know how to respond. Instead of accepting what the voice says or arguing with it, remind yourself that obstacles are part of the process of growth. Talk to yourself the way you would to a friend. We tend to be our own worst critics, but if we talk to ourselves the way we'd help a friend, we can see the situation for what it really is. Telling yourself things like, "This is what it's like to get better at something," and "You're on our way," are healthier ways to handle self-doubt. Drop a 100 if you read this far. This shows you are part of the 0.01% who actually finish what they start. If you are serious about changing your life, then make sure to join our movement by leaving us a follow.